Welcome in to the Dynasty Football Diner. I am your host, Dan. I'm sorry. Without further ado, my co-host, Carey. Carey, how we doing today?
Just gonna skip me right on out, were you?
No.
I'm not even here.
How we doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm feeling a little under the weather here, so bear with me.
Yeah, it feels like the last couple episodes there's been storm issues that we had to speak out, and now it's getting into getting sick season. All these kids are back in school. Things are getting passed around.
That sudden drop in temperature kind of got to me a little bit.
Especially that.
So when you're my age, these kind of things happen.
Back in my day.
We walked 12 miles in the snow.
Okay.
Carried our books with belts. Sorry, anyway.
Uphill both ways.
That's right. When real men played football and didn't wear helmets. Tua.
Speaking of that, by the way, did you see Illinois' helmets this week?
I did not know.
Dude, they spent an ungodly amount of money.
They had it painted. Yeah.
Painted.
That was cool, dude.
If any of y'all haven't seen them, man, I was blown away.
They're old school style.
Yeah, they basically took the new helmets and painted them like the old leather helmets. I thought it was so dope.
Yeah, airbrush. It was one guy did all their helmets.
And probably got paid
enough to retire.
Yes. Welcome everybody into the diner. Please catch us on YouTube and Spotify at DFDPodcast. We're trying to grow our social media here. So on IG and X, it's DFD_podcast. Even Facebook, DFD Pod. Please check us out. We could always use every subscribe, like, friend request. It's all there. We appreciate it. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Again, we're two dudes. We work 40, 50-hour weeks at another job, so we try to keep up with it as much as we can. We've been trying to put breaking news in when we can, stuff like that. I think our main platform right now is Instagram. We're trying to branch out, trying to get the Facebook thing going, maybe start a group or something like that where people could come in, leave comments and things like that.
I will say, if we get these social medias popping, we will hire somebody. How about that? We'll just find a hostess.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
That's right. Apple Podcast coming soon. Please like, follow, subscribe, rate, and review. Leave a comment. Tell us how terrible this podcast is. It doesn't matter, but just leave a comment. Yeah, it really helps the diner out a lot. First things first, a little business to clean up. Last week, we had audio issues. We recorded, but audio issues prevented us from dropping the episode. So I just wanted to let all the diners know that, we're trying to be here like Waffle House in a hurricane. Every week, no matter what, we want to be here for you. Unfortunately, audio issues we have nothing to do with, so it is what it is.
Fun fact, FEMA goes off based off if Waffle Houses close in the area during hurricanes. For those who don't live in these areas where hurricanes are prevalent, if a Waffle House closes, it's bad.
Is it prevalent or prevalent?
Prevalent. There you go.
Heard that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andre.
100%.
Special shout out to Andre for dropping the link in his fantasy league. Listen, all you diners out there, if I assume most of y'all are in a fantasy football league of some kind,
or you married or dating someone who is.
That's right. Just drop the link to the pod right in there in the group chat, for your fantasy football leagues. We would certainly appreciate it, and it goes a long way. Love the questions. We've been getting more questions in the chats and comments, so please keep them up. We got really good feedback off of our last question and answer session. So please keep them up. We like that. Our podcast is based off of basically a dialogue about fantasy football. And so the more questions, comments, things to talk about, the merrier. We really enjoy that.
Yeah, we do. We enjoy responding to questions and comments and stuff like that. We try to get to them in a timely manner. But yeah, we do the best we can with the information presented to us and, just experiencing the game.
So, I've been dreading this moment all week. But without further ado, I have a public apology to make. I don't even know how to start this. To you, Mr. Joe Mixon, I am sorry. I had you labeled in a previous episode for just guys that I hate, even for no good reason. I forget which piece of food you were. If you could look that up. No, it doesn't matter. Every time I've dealt with this man, it's been no good. And you know what? There's nothing more to say. Joe Mixon is good.
Yes, he is, baby.
He is good. And I am going to take a second to publicly apologize to Joe Mixon. I have been calling him a dust bucket.
Yep.
I am not a fan.
Musty, dusty, crusty, I believe is what you called him.
Yeah, it was. It was crusty, musty, dusty Joe Mixon. And
killing it.
to you, sir, I am sorry. If any of you saw the Houston game this week, there was a stat that came up. I don't know how the final line finished, but he had 156 yards rushing. The rest of the team had 60-something yards total.
He was the offense.
So, to you, Joe Mixon, sir, I apologize. Okay, now we can recap. Okay, so you and I both had a terrible week last week. Me going 1-5, you going 2-5.
Oh boy, he did have a good day. Sorry, I was looking at Joe Mixon. 13 rushes for 102 yards.
All right, I apologize. We don't need to rub it.
2 of 3 targets for 30 yards, including a second touchdown.
Listen, real men apologize. I did that. We're going to keep it moving.
Listen, the listeners deserve to know the stats.
Okay, all right. What are the stats?
Anyway,
give them to me.
I just gave them to you.
Give them to me again.
13 rushes, 103 yards and a touchdown. 2 for 3. Was it 2 for 3 in the reception game and another touchdown?
Just freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, he was the offense.
I mean, the dude is looking electric. Good for him. You know, honestly, like, fantasy aside, like, happy for the dude. He got himself paid with a new contract in the offseason, left the Bengals, went to Houston, and he is just making the most of it, dude. I mean, like, absolutely is.
This last game was crazy. He had 124 total yards, constituted for 63% of Houston's total net yards against the Packers.
I mean, he looks like a beefcake when I was watching the game.
I mean, granted, it was against the Packers. They're not for nothing. They're a good team.
Oh, they got a good defense.
But he just was picking them apart, man.
I mean, I was watching this game and I thought to myself, like, when I was thinking about, okay, I owe this man an apology. The dude looks bigger. I don't know. He looks like a beefcake out there.
The plates, I guess.
I mean, I don't know if, I'll have to dive into his weight stats over the last few years, but the dude looks big. He looks like a monster, and he's the real deal. I got to tell you. And then another Texan that we both got burnt by this week.
Go ahead and talk about it.
Tank Dell.
He tanked all right.
Looked like a piece of 8-day-old salmon. Had a little stench to him.
It looked like a fan out there.
He had a little film on top of him that you needed to wash with water and lemon juice.
Ooh, some salt in that thing.
And I still don't know if you could sell it. I really don't. I don't know what's going on with Tank Dell. CJ Stroud looked kind of lost in this game too. So
yeah, but Tank Dell's always had issues catching the ball, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, if he's not getting the ball, I mean, I think he only had 2 or 3 targets.
Yeah, but I think one was in the end zone, wasn't it?
Well, either way, I just know CJ Stroud didn't look good at all. He looked kind of lost. So, bounce back week for me and you. We both went 1-5 and 2-5 in week 6, but week 7 bounce back. I went 4-2. You went 5-2.
Yeah, I had a good week.
Feels good, right? After a 1-5 or 2-5 week, man, it feels good to just flip those numbers around and kind of bask in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice, man. It was a rough week 6, that's for sure. Chris Olave had -0.5 points.
Yeah.
That lost an entire game for me. and just my players just didn't produce. I had some bye weeks and stuff like that. I had good players in, they just did not
Bye
produce.
weeks were brutal last week.
There were some very vital people on bye weeks.
Yeah, I had a lineup. I had a lineup with Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison, who went out like it almost seemed like immediately.
I think Chris Olave, his first catch was for negative yardage and a concussion.
Yeah, week 6 to me, throw it away.
Which is so. Just so people are aware, this is Chris Olave's third concussion in his professional career. So,
and he's trending toward not playing again this week. So they are taking it seriously. They're giving him his time. But if you're the Saints, right? Who the hell cares if he plays, right? You're not looking anything like you started the season with.
With Spencer Rattler out there.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr is still out. I don't know if he's going to play or not, but we'll get to that.
Okay, Dynasty Diner update. I mean, week 6, we lost in the Diner. We were 5 points short just because we had Josh Allen go on Monday night. It was a good sweat, but ended up coming up short. Week 7, what a triumphant comeback. Man, we had Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas, and David Njoku all over 20 points. And then nothing to scoff at. Drake London came in with an 18-plus point week. So a healthy bounce back for the Diner. We had the most points scored in the league.
Yeah, baby. We dominated this week for sure.
We love a good comeback.
Yes, it was.
In our OG league, I just want to tell y'all, because we can't be in everybody's league, but I got to tell you, after this week, I'm looking at the standings in our OG league. Kind of wild, man.
It really is. It's
first place lost. He was undefeated. He finally took him down. He's 6-1. Then let me just quickly read off the standings here, right? 6-1, 5-2, 5-2, 4-3, 4-3, 3-4, 3-4, 3-4, and then the bottom of the barrel. No disrespect to the bottom of the barrel, just
somebody's got to be there, brother.
So out of 10 teams, 8 people are, well, I guess if you take 6-1 out, so out of 10 teams, 7 teams are really within, 1 or 2 games of each other. So I'm just telling y'all, for everybody who's 3-4, 2-4, or 2-5, whatever, there's still a chance. It really depends on how your league's shaping up. But man, in this league in particular,
it's pretty close.
It's going to be a slobber knocker all the way to the end, dude.
It is so close right now. And just so everybody knows, the person that's in first, I believe, has the least or second amount of points scored against, or second least amount of points scored against him. So he's been playing against just, you know what I mean, that
he's getting
bottom
lucky on
half.
the matchups.
Yeah, and lucky on matchups, injuries, and bye weeks. But just so everybody remembers, week 10, huge bye week. Week 12, huge bye week. And these are big time games to win. So keep an eye out for that stuff.
The most important thing is that, your record doesn't always reflect how the league is going, right? Or even how your team is going. Sometimes, you're going to play everybody who's scoring their max points against you. Mm-hmm. So you're putting up points, but it's just not enough. And vice versa. Really you might be sitting 5-2, 6-1, and you really haven't played anybody that's put up a fight. So, y'all hang in there, man. There's still a lot of fantasy football players.
But those trade deadlines for the NFL are coming soon, and for most leagues.
Yes, it
so
is.
If you're on the bottom half, you don't win a couple, you don't start a run here in the next couple weeks, dynasty-wise, you're going to want to start looking for these higher-end teams or teams kind of in the middle of the pack that need to make a big push. And that's when if you want, it's strongly suggested, that's when you start trading your players for picks or trading your picks for better players. That's right.
According to the timeline from a previous episode, now you should be putting these trades together in your head and figuring out what you want to do, really.
Seeing who's lacking what.
That's right. Putting these trades together, even if you don't hit send yet. Yeah. Just another friendly, fun sweat on a Monday night. These teams had nobody except for one of the sides had Trey McBride, and he was down only 11 points. And Trey McBride ended up scoring a 10.10. So this particular owner lost by 1.26 points, and that is brutal. Shout out to these guys for having a slugfest. This is what fantasy's all about. It's that sweat. If you're not sweating, you're not having fun, right?
Honestly, you're really not. I think me and Dan actually played a couple of head-to-heads this week.
We did. We split.
Yeah.
You had the Tank Dell injury in one. And then another one, I got bit by the Malik Neighbors bug.
Yeah.
That didn't work out.
Yeah, the family league, you absolutely crushed me. So we have a family league, and he dominated me. He had almost 130 points to my 80. So that was bad.
You know, in years prior, before I was in so many leagues, you know, I thought it was fun to talk smack, you know, week to week.
Bad juju,
but I got to
man.
tell you, man, when you're in this many leagues, like, I take losses like a grain of salt because, I mean, I went 4-2 this week, and so it's a good week all in all. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to leave a week with a 4-2 record. So
yeah, man, you just never know. I mean, and honestly, you'll hear people talk about the fantasy football gods. This is a real thing.
Oh no, 100%.
Karma is a real thing, dude.
100%.
It really is. I looked out in the league. I had -2 points from a kicker and -3 points from a defense, and I still squeaked out the win.
Oh man,
So,
love that.
Yeah, but anyway.
All right, let's move on to the workers permit segment. You want to start us off with a little fun fact?
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Army and the Navy, as we all know, they're in the American Conference, more or less.
Can we just rename it to the United States of America Conference?
I'm just calling it what it is. So they're in that conference, and so is Notre Dame. Army and Navy have both beat Notre Dame. Army and Navy are undefeated. If Army and Navy remain undefeated, they'll go into a game where they play in the bowl game or conference championship against each other, right? So if Army wins, they'll be like 12-0 or 13, or they'll be 12-0. If Navy wins, they'll be 12-0. The following week, per their schedule, they play again.
2 weeks in a row?
2 weeks in a row. So if one team wins and then the next week loses, they'll have the same exact record and they would have beaten each other. And then what happens?
You know what?
What happens then?
The first year, the 12-team playoff, I say we just put both of them in.
I mean, it would only be fair. I mean, one wins the champion, one wins the conference, but then if they go and lose the following week to the team they just beat for the conference, what happens? That's, you know what I mean? That's not something that in my recollection of college football and with this new kind of style they're doing, it's not happened yet.
I mean, for the record,
I mean,
they're both Army and Navy.
It is
both in.
They're both Army and Navy. Yeah, that's fair. But I mean,
and thank you for your service.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate it. But I mean, that's going to put them in quite the sticky wicket, as they say.
The old sticky wicket.
Either way, both teams, hot dog water.
Minus the chocolate starfish.
Oh my god.
All right, so looking at this, I don't know why you put that in the workers permit section, but we'll just keep it moving.
Because we're talking about college.
Oh, okay. Thank you for bringing it full circle. Thank you for your service, but just a little less for thanking the service to the Army and the Navy cadets out there
a lot more.
Who are representing us around the world.
I think it's time for Flavor Town.
Flavor
Just for those who don't know, in one of our leagues, a guy asked for a Guy Fieri reference, and we deliver on this show. Okay, we keep our promises. I told him absolutely. Then we had our technical difficulties last week, so here we are.
Flavor Town. Shout out. All right, real quickly on this workers permit, I just want to touch for a second on a wide receiver named Emeka Egbuka, originally out of Africa, but now plays for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's 21 years old. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. In 2022, which he also played next to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, he had 1,151 receiving yards for 10 tutties and 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, in 23, he had a down year, but now in 2024, he's already surpassed 23, and he's on pace to break his 2022 stats. He's got 40 receptions for 526 yards and 6 tutties over 6 games. Okay. He also returned kicks too. Not this year because he's kind of one of the featured receivers, but shifty and capable. And as I was watching the film, these were the things that stuck out to me, right? Excuse me. He's not the fastest guy, okay? He's not going to burn you down the field, but he does run crisp routes. And he's down to the nitty gritty. When I was watching the film, and even, on my film, I even watched the plays where he's not getting the ball, right? I'm just watching all plays that he's on the field. And man, this dude really,
he really is.
It's one of my favorite things about a receiver is the guys who aren't afraid to just get in there, even if they're not getting the ball, right? In these days where receivers maybe might be a little diva-like.
Don't like going over the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy has no problem with it. Emeka is down with the nitty gritty. And my most impressive thing that I took is this man loves to block for the run. Ohio State has this whole stable of running backs. And this guy's in there on every run. Got his hands in the face, got his hands on some shoulder pads. Like this guy really, it was my favorite part about watching the tape was kind of like the blocking on the running.
So for people who are unaware of what that signifies, when you have a wide receiver who's willing to block and he's good at it, that right there in itself means he's a team player. He's not out there. He's out there for the W. He's not out there for the highlights. And that's a very good thing to have because this guy is very skilled at catching the ball. But being able to block is a huge deal for a wide receiver, especially for his size.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a lost art, really.
Yeah. I mean, did you go over how big he was?
6'1", 205.
Yeah. I mean, he's not like a large wide receiver, but he's not.
Right. This isn't some monster.
Yeah. It's not like DK Metcalf out there, but it is a big deal to have an efficient blocker as a wide receiver and one who can catch. So.
And, building on that, the proof is in the pudding, right? Because the running backs for Ohio State, they have 2 of them in the stable, and they're both killing the game.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they're both talented, but, it takes a lot. Not only the offensive line, but these receivers, can really play a big part in the running game. And my comp to him was like Hines Ward. I know for the younger people, you might not even know who Hines Ward is. Seems like a dinosaur reference, but I got to tell you, man, growing up, Hines Ward, I can't say enough about him. He was
cannonball.
Yeah.
This is back in the rough and tough, hit him hard days.
Yes, and he was never afraid to get in anybody's face. And matter of fact, Hines Ward's been on the record with saying he loves blocking. That was one of his favorite parts of his game. The catching and the touchdowns were kind of second nature. He loved being in somebody's face.
So. But this is back when it was old school football, when you were down in the gridiron and you were getting jabbed in the eye. Yeah, you getting jabbed in the eye, catching a punch to the throat, and just there was no concussion protocol back then. You know what I mean? It was just hard, fast football, and it was honestly amazing.
So that's the Toast Report for this week. Emeka Egbuka.
No, that's the
or the
workers permit.
Well, Emeka Egbuka is the dude's name.
Yeah, but you said that was the Toast Report. This is the workers permit. Toast Report's next.
Toast Report. Let's get to it. I was smelling the burnt toast coming.
Listen, we have to keep each other in check sometimes.
Well, absolutely. It was just the Toast Report's so toasty this week. I smelled that black.
It is so bad.
I almost had to get the butter knocked out to scrape it.
It is.
So we might be able to.
Some of these teams, dude. Some of these teams are just devastated with injuries right now. And to pile it on, we're going to start with the Toast Report. Starting off, Chris Godwin is set for ankle surgery this week. Bucs wide receiver Chris Godwin will have an MRI on his ankle to determine the full extent of his injury before having surgery later this week. NFL Network reports the expectation is that pretty much his season's over, guys. I mean, he's a bit older. And if this is an ankle surgery, you're talking he's going to be out for the rest of this season. He's going to be out probably most of next season. He's not going to return to form for maybe a year and a half. Maybe
he
not
just
even
missed pretty much a
2026.
whole season too.
I know. I mean, this is something to severely monitor. If you can stand to hold him on your bench for a while, he's a great wide receiver. But you're talking a very long time. Moving on, the opposite side of the field. Mike Evans re-injures his hamstring. He came back a little early, I think. But Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans re-injured his right hamstring in the second quarter of Monday's night game versus the Ravens, and he didn't come back. Evans caught a 25-yard touchdown on Tampa's first possession, but aggravated the hamstring injury that limited him in practice this week on another deep shot in the second quarter. Just keep an eye on the updates and stuff. This thing, he's probably I wouldn't think he'd be coming back for 2 to 3 weeks because a re-aggravation of a hamstring is normally worse than the actual injury of a hamstring. So keep an eye on that. Jameson Williams suspended for 2 games. The league has suspended Jameson Williams 2 games for violating the performance-enhancing substances policy, according to ESPN's Eric Woodyard.
So is he toast, or is that a no-call, no-show?
I don't know. I mean, he's suspended for 2 games. I don't know, dude.
He's toast for 2 weeks. I was just curious if
yeah,
that falls under a different label than toast.
Well, he's stale toast right now.
No call, no show.
Yeah, no call, no show. He won't be here for a while, so I don't know what to do with him. I have him on my teams. I put him on the block. Hopefully no one has paid attention to this news, but we'll see how that goes. Moving on. Deebo Samuel hospitalized with pneumonia. 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel is currently in the hospital with pneumonia. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said Monday Samuel tried playing in Week 7's loss to the Chiefs, but made it through just 4 snaps. Shanahan said he's not sure if we'll get Samuel back this week or not, per to Athletics' Matt Barrows. Track Samuel Deebo Samuel's status throughout the week, with Brandon Ayuk out because he just suffered a season-ending injury. I don't have that up for some reason, but he's out. Yeah, he's done for the season. Wide receiver Juwan Jennings battling a hip injury. Rookie wide receivers Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowling could have a sizable role in Sunday night's game against the Cowboys. If Ricky Pearsall is on your waiver wire still, because he just came back from getting shot in the chest, pick him up. He should be a main priority pickup. Juwan Jennings is a good pickup on the hold to see how his hip does, because when he's been out in the field, Purdy's completion percentage, his quarterback rating has been up when Juwan Jennings has been one of the main targets. So that's something you need to keep an eye on.
Also, listen, it is George Kittle's season. Not only has he looked better this year than any year I can remember, with all these things happening, I am going to go trade for George Kittle. If you could snag him up, this is the time. I know that he's getting old and kind of long in the tooth, but listen, if there was ever a time to lay it down for George Kittle, now's the time.
Listen, that is great advice. Also, if there was ever a time to go and acquire CMC, it would be a great time to get him low, because he is playing to return after the bye week, which is week 10. Yep. He, in November 10th against Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 10. There have been no setbacks for his Achilles tendonitis, and the 49ers are planning for him to return in about 3 weeks. So that is something keep an eye out for. Okay. If you can afford to get him low, because right now they're in desperate need of wide receivers. And I guarantee if he comes back even at 70%, 80% of his former self, he is going to eat. He is going to dominate. Christian McCaffrey is one of these players you trade if you're on the losing end of your league and you don't have a shot to make the playoffs, but somebody needs a push. This is a player you trade for picks, players, get a bag.
We love diners who eat.
Yeah, we do. Moving on, DK Metcalf is week to week with an MCL sprain.
JSN season.
Yeah, he's got a grade 1 MCL sprain suffered in a Week 7 win over the Falcons, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Seattle gets Seattle gets the Bills and Rams in the next 2 weeks before a Week 10 bye. So it's possible.
You said the Bills and the Rams?
Bills and the Rams. Seattle gets the Bills and the Rams in the next 2 weeks before a Week 10 bye. So it's possible we don't see Metcalf again until Week 11. That's a bit of a hit on some teams. That's a hard one to lose. Is DK Metcalf. He's been doing pretty good this year. I got 2 more for you. Jane Daniels doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for Week 8. They're playing head coach Dan Quinn said Jane Daniels week to week with the rib injury that knocked him out of Sunday's win over the Panthers. He added that they're hopeful he comes back, but just keep an eye on that. It's against the Bears. Last one's Aiden O'Connell's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, according to NFL Network. He'll be placed on IR, but should be able to return this season. Vegas will now turn back to Gardner Minshew, who's completed 65.5% of his passes at 6.7 yards per attempt with 4 touchdowns and 8 interceptions this season. So if you have, what's his name, the running back for Las Vegas, or Brock Bowers, these are must-start players, in my opinion. Maybe not Zamir White. No, it's the other guy. Madison, is it? Addison?
Alexander Madison.
Yeah, Madison. Brock Bowers is the only person I would play on this team for right now. And that is it for your Toast Report.
No, there's one more.
Oh, no, I'm not bringing him up.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Deshaun Watson on the Toast Report. I got to tell you, fellas and ladies out there, man, oh, man. As a Cleveland fan, I really don't know how to feel about this because
before we go any further, the DFD podcast doesn't wish for anyone to sustain injuries, but continue.
However, as a Cleveland Browns fan, listen, and I took some flack in the comment section on our Spotify about this because I was just roasting Deshaun. It's partly because I have him on my Superflex team, and I saw what was happening. Plus, it's my team, so I extra saw what was happening. But let me tell you something. This dude is chopped liver. And now, finally, we got an injury, right? Because there's so much politics behind, the management. They're paying him. Some people in the organization want to bench him. We have Jameis on the bench, who's a gunslinger. Like, look, we finally got a blessing from the sweet Lord where he had a non-contact injury now. This wasn't, he's taken 58,000 sacks this year. Non-contact injury.
Dude.
He's out, dude. He's out. He's out. And on top of that, fantasy-wise, we just got rid of Amari Cooper, right? So now, by the grace of the sweet Lord, we have a concentrated target share. And it doesn't even matter if it's a scrub at QB, right? Or Jameis. It doesn't matter, right? Dorian Thompson-Robinson, this is his second year. He can run. He has rushing ability. Like, it doesn't matter. Nobody could do worse than Deshaun, okay?
Isn't he injured as well?
Yes, but it was minor, right?
Okay, TBD.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is that without Deshaun and without Amari, we have a concentrated target share. Nick Chubb is back. Hello.
Ooh,
Welcome back
baby.
to the diner, Nick Chubb.
Yes, sir.
Hallelujah. Cleveland icon.
Corner boot.
We're back, baby. We're back. Listen, and when I say we're back, it's not because the Cleveland's record is good, okay? Because it's never good. But we're back, which means we have hope that we can still get the first pick and the team looks decent when we lose. That's what a Cleveland fan is, okay? It is a life of misery. But if we can look good and still do what Cleveland always does, I'm with it, okay? So we got concentrated targets. David Njoku, where you at? We can see if Cedric Tillman or Jamari Thrash are even worth a damn. Where you at? Nick Chubb is back. Let's get it, okay? Hallelujah.
For the record, Thomas Robinson is dealing with an injured tendon on his middle finger of his throwing hand. But the Browns don't believe he'll miss multiple weeks due to this issue.
Yeah, and he got that from flipping Deshaun off.
From Brad Stainbrook.
Deshaun made, he was giving him the middle finger, and he pulled the tendon in his middle finger, being like, yo, you suck. Get out of here and go to court.
I want to see Jameis Winston. That's what I want out there.
All right, I'm done. I'm back on the rails. I'm not unhinged
Continuing
anymore.
on.
I needed to get that out. Listen, therapy at the diner, this is what happens. I appreciate you diners. That was a little therapy session. We're back on track.
You good? You got it off your chest?
I really needed to get that out.
So you came in here with a kind of a glow about you.
I'm pumped. Totally pumped. All right, taking inventory. Let's just do, these are some quick thoughts. Carey, if you want to chime in, I'll just go through mine. And if you want to chime in, and then at the end of it, you can add on what I missed. Overall, week 6, those games kind of suck. Tampa and Detroit look good. And my other note was the penalties are making games hard to watch, dude.
Unless you're Kansas City. Anyways,
Javonte Williams with a coming out party. I've been waiting. Listen, I've been a Javonte Williams truther. I've been waiting on this for 2 years now. And finally, Javonte, he looked fast. He looked crisp. He scored 2 tutties. I would have beat you head to head if I would have started Javonte, but I didn't. Nope. But I started him in my other league, and it helped me to propel to a victory. But now, just the fact that I have seen life out of Javonte Williams, because this has been a guy.
We're on week 7, you're talking about, right?
Yeah, in the OG league. Yeah, I didn't start Javonte against you. But if I did, I would have won.
24.6 points.
Yeah,
he was amazing.
For me, on a more, overhead level.
For a while, yeah.
I've loved this guy, and I'm just happy to see some life out of him. That's all.
Yeah, he did really good. 88 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 3 for 3 in the air, 23 yards. He did really well. And against New Orleans, so
right.
Not for nothing. That's a pretty good game.
Next thing, Minnesota. I think Sam Darnold figures something out. It might be his little time with San Francisco. I don't know what happened there, but Sam Darnold, I just couldn't get past it. He figured something out. It's kind of like Baker Mayfield when he spent a cup of coffee with the Rams. Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, they truly are some quarterback whisperers. Baker Mayfield literally spent a cup of coffee with the Rams, and then he's been with Tampa Bay on a prove-it contract last year and this year, and now he's laser Mayfield.
I told you, it's the Carolina curse, man.
I'm giving it more to these coaches that they're with. Kyle Shanahan clearly does the most with a little bit, and Sam Darnold,
he definitely has it figured out.
That's right.
Jay Jettis doesn't hurt either.
Well, no. And that's not to take anything away from the Minnesota coach. No. He's legit. Yeah. He really is legit. CJ Stroud, we don't need to talk anymore about. Next note, Packers are good, dude.
They're good.
Both sides of the ball, they're good.
Yeah, they are. Fun fact, Josh Jacobs caught his first receiving touchdown.
Yes! Josh Jizzle. Shout out to Josh Jizzle, man.
Listen, now, I want to say something about this. Him shouting him out. For the record, Dan, before the season ever started, his exact words, Josh Jacobs, dusty. Then he goes and trades for him. And now look at him.
Josh Jacobs did have a little bit of dust to shake off.
He did terrible last year.
But I was right. So I was all on board when he went to the Packers. I love his situation there. And the Packers are doing exactly what we had hoped they would do with Josh Jacobs, which is run him into the ground, not literally or figuratively, but they're using him so much. And I'm just happy for the dude. 208 receptions without a receiving touchdown. He finally got him one. You go, Josh Jizzle. Ken Bone Walker.
That's my boy.
Boy, this dude should have had 3 tutties. I played him in my main line on DFS. He should have had 3 touchdowns, but one got called back for a penalty. Right,
first one, I think. Right.
I should have knew my week wasn't going to go good with that. But Kemba Walker looks completely legit. Having a little bit of kind of angry at myself for trading him away in the OG league last year so early,
like
but
week
you know,
4,
it's water under the bridge.
Here we are.
Danny Dimes, you had already brought it up. 650 plus days with no home touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
He looks off. The quarterback change did nothing. I don't think
he had less than 100 yards.
I mean, they were missing 3 offensive linemen, and frankly, I think I could have been back there, and it would have looked the same.
I think any one of us.
Saquon revenge game, he looked dynamite.
He did. I love the fact. So in the game, Saquon was 13 yards away from breaking his single game rushing record. The coach even sat down with him and asked him if he wanted to do it. He would bench anybody who objected to it, and he said, "No, let the young cats eat." Nothing but mad respect for Saquon.
That's right. Carolina, this was my note from that game. If they actually had some kind of protection, they might be a little scary. Their offensive weapons are looking A-okay. They just have no protection. It's like a sieve, dude.
That's what Bryce Young's been dealing with his entire NFL career.
But he also sucks.
I mean, yeah, he didn't get a chance to develop. But
when the line looks like Swiss cheese, I mean, but they have the weapons look good, but there's no time for plays to develop. And I really think like if they just really can get their in the trenches together, they might be a little scary. As a matter of fact, I might make a note next year. Look for Carolina to be a bounce back team. They might be one of these teams people forget about because of their record this year, but next year, I think I'm going to be targeting Carolina to kind of
watch their draft. Back. Watch the draft for them. See if they pick up offensive linemen or if they trade for them in the offseason.
To our man with the highest completion percentage in the league, Jared Goff. This dude looks electric.
He's on a mission, bro.
Wow. What? Oh. I would say
he wrote that for those who don't know, he wrote that in the show doc. I didn't realize that.
I did say that in the show doc.
I didn't realize that. I watched a clip of him earlier on TikTok, and I was like, he is on a mission.
We can skip the Cleveland thing because I've already sung hallelujah about that. Buffalo. Holy crap. Welcome to your wake-up alarm call.
Thank you for passing the ball.
You know, they have woken up. Amari is back. I didn't even think Amari was going to play. And the man caught a tutty. I mean, geez, talk about a plug and play.
That's a good look.
My other thought about San Francisco watching that game, Jordan Mason, he's not injured, but he's hurt.
Yeah, he's dealing with something.
I mean,
he can't. Yeah, he knows he can't admit it. So
all football players admit there's a difference between being hurt and injured. So he's not injured because he played, but man, hurt. He's feeling something. My Garrett Wilson hypothesis, where I talked about with Devontae Adams being added to the team, I think it could help him. I hope we can chalk this up to just the first week. You know, Devontae Adams just joined, whatever. Garrett Wilson still got targeted a bunch. Like,
he did. Yes, he did.
That game, like, still seemed like it was a Garrett Wilson game, right? Like, there was a couple points in the game where I didn't even think Devontae Adams was on the field because Aaron Rodgers just kept looking toward Garrett Wilson. But he looked, I don't know, man. He looked off.
I feel like last year
it's bouncing off his chest.
Yeah, last year there was a big hype between them two, and during training camp and preseason, all that stuff, they looked great. They looked great together. They had a mind meld going on, and then Aaron Rodgers went out, and it's just this year they're just not in sync at all. I don't think, and I don't know if they ever will be again. Now that he's got the other receivers around him that Aaron Rodgers is used to throwing to. But Garrett Wilson is an extremely talented player. He, in my opinion, right now ranks about a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. He has upside for a 1, but I don't know if him and Aaron Rodgers are going to get that mind meld back together anytime soon. Now that he's got his Devontae Adams there, I would hope they would try to trade him. Yeah, it's a wait and see. It's a hold. It's a strong hold. I would like to see him trade him, but not my call.
Not when they just picked up Devontae Adams. Yeah. They're not going to. But
I know, but I mean,
give them a week or two. with them both on the field and Aaron to kind of get it figured out. Plus Brees Hall. I mean, Brees Hall 8.
Yes.
So, I think that they just, plus with a new coaching change, like this team, it's really just up in the air right now. And I think they're going to need a week or two to get it together. Now, unfortunately, their record is not going to allow them they're not going to be afforded that much time.
No, they're not.
But that division is trash. Like if somebody in that division goes on a run, they're easily in first place. And so, I'm not counting the Jets out now. But they need to get it together sooner than later.
Yep, I agree.
From one Wilson to another. Russell Wilson. Man. Okay, first quarter, this is the tale of two time periods, right? The first quarter, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, they looked exactly the same. It was just stagnant, kind of ugly, making it happen, but just 4 yards at a time. And then, boom. After that, dude, Russ showed a little bit of a lot.
Let's ride.
Huh?
I said, let's ride.
That's right. That's right. Russ, I don't know. I guess maybe, it probably takes a quarter to shake the rust off. I mean, let's be honest, dude. This is the NFL.
Yeah. It only took him a quarter to crush my Superflex team because I had Justin Fields. Stupid.
But I'm telling you, George Pickens got involved. Najee Harris had 100+ yards in the game. Like, if the Pittsburgh offense is going to look like this with Russ, look out for Pittsburgh. And it hurts me to say that, for my own personal fandom, but like, look out. And Mike Tomlin, it is so hard to bet against him. Like, this guy. It's so maddening as a Cleveland guy.
So many people want him to have that season where he doesn't go 500.
Well, I think so. Check this out. I've heard some people talking about this too, right? I think people are tired about hearing how Mike Tomlin is all this and that because he's never had a season under 500. But he hasn't won a playoff game in so long. He has won Super Bowl fine many, many years ago, but the Steelers just haven't looked good for years.
They really haven't.
But they still find ways to beat you.
But their defense
10-9.
Their defense is solid right now.
Beat you 6-3.
That's true.
So I think people have a little bit of fatigue about Mike Tomlin, but like for me, you got to put some respect on his name.
Yep.
It's the only thing you can do. Because this guy just gets it done.
Yep. George Pickens won me our head-to-head this week.
And I look in his press conference after the game, the report, I'll paraphrase, but the reporter's like, oh, so tell me, when Russ scored the touchdown, man, did that do anything for your outlook, or how excited are you for the rest of the year with Russ? Tomlin goes, it was a quarterback sneak. Next question. And just left it at that.
Dude, he is so great.
It's a quarterback sneak.
He's got no time for these reporters. Dude.
That's what I think I love most about Mike Tomlin. He's just like, okay, moving on. And then, the tale of two Monday night football games last night. Man, you had kind of a shootout with Tampa and Baltimore, which was derailed with some injuries to Tampa. And Baltimore just, dang, dude. Should we already write them in? Should we already write in an AFC championship game of Kansas City and Baltimore?
I mean, they are, in my opinion, they're playing better than Kansas City. Kansas City just kind of, in my opinion.
But should we write them in for that game?
I would. I mean, they're white.
It seems like it's going to be the same, right?
They had a slow start, but everything's
starting to click.
Right? Yeah, all cylinders are fired up right now.
And Baltimore's defense, which I can't even believe I'm saying this as a Cleveland guy either, but like, you know what? They lost so many defensive players and offensive linemen. It probably takes 5 or 6 games to really get it together. But I'll tell you what also helps. Freaking King Henry. This freaking beast. Everybody want to talk about his $1.2 million dietary regimen. It's working.
Have you seen the pictures of his face when he's full speed?
Yeah.
I will post them later.
Yeah,
They
we'll
are
post them on
amazing.
the socials.
Yeah.
It is outrageous, dude.
He is so happy.
He might be a lizard person.
He is so excited when he's full speed, dude. I love it.
And then the Arizona LA Chargers game. What a bar fest.
Womp womp.
All right, we're not even going to talk.
Yeah, that's a terrible game.
Okay. Next segment. I wanted to play a little game with you, right? I'm going to call it a blind tasting.
This is gonna be brutal.
It's a blind tasting, okay? So basically what I'm going to do is I have some stats. I went on NFL.com. Don't be looking either. Don't be cheater. I went on NFL.com and got the stats of everybody, live stats through as of today. And I just wanted to see, there were some things that stuck out to me. Either I found interesting or wild about the stat lines.
Yeah.
And
I'm probably going to suck at this.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed them either, to be honest with you, but I was looking and I made this segment. So.
It's rock and roll.
All right. We're going to start with quarterbacks, right? Okay. How do you want me to give you these? I got key stats
this
here.
This is your segment.
Okay. Wow. Well, you know
I know.
what? I mean,
all you told me was you had questions about stats.
All right. So, this is fair, right? According to the stats, Geno Smith right now is ranked the number one quarterback in the league, right? With a 68.5 completion percentage, 1,985 yards, 8 tutties with a QBR of 61.1. So who would you think if I told you had 1,841 yards, okay, a 63.9 completion percentage, only 9 tutties and 7 picks, but a QBR of 60.9, which is almost similar to Geno. But also, here's the thing, rushing yards, 154.
Baker Mayfield?
Brock Purdy.
Ooh.
Which I was surprised at this because he's quietly number 3. But nobody's talking about Brock Purdy. That's what stuck out to me. He's number 3 with that stat line. 138 completions, 63.9 completion percentage, 1,841, 9 and 7, 154 rush yards for a 60.9 QBR. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was the completion percentage was what I thought. So,
okay, sticking to quarterback. Let's go. So down from Brock Purdy, only 1,483 yards, 63% completion percentage, so about the same. Rush yards, 179, so about 20 more than Purdy. But here's the thing that stuck out different. 12 tutties, no picks, and a 77.6 QBR, which is up 17% from Purdy, who's number 3.
Jared Goff?
Josh Allen.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's right. I seen the stat of no interceptions because last year he had like 7 by now or something like that.
But he's ranked 12. Now, just on passing, these ranks don't include the rushing. That's a separate thing.
That's fine.
I was just adding.
But I mean, on that's fair though. He has.
But for a 77.6 QBR and 12 tutties, no picks, to be ranked 12, that kind of took me by surprise a little bit.
I mean, he hasn't been passing a whole lot. They've been running the ball a lot in the first few games, and with what's his name? Oh God, I can't remember. Is it Cooks? Before he
James
went out,
Cook.
Yeah, before he went out, Cook. They ran
Ray
the ball a lot. Yeah, so.
All right, now here.
Listen, we have Ray Davis on our bench, and we have not played him 2 weeks in a row because we keep forgetting that we have him.
Well, it's the Jonathan Taylor back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, so next one. This guy's had a bye week, in all fairness. 130 completions, completion percentage of 65.3%. So right about, actually higher than Purdy and Allen. 1,317 passing yards, which is just under Josh Allen. 9 tutties, 5 picks, 169 yards rushing. Okay, nothing to scoff at. But a QBR of 45.5. Who is this?
What was the
9 tutties, 5 picks.
9 tutties, 5 picks. And
169
rushing.
receiving yards is with one less game is only 10
Rushing yards.
Josh Allen.
So 169 rushing. See, that's the one that's the hard part is these rushing yards because there's been a lot of quarterbacks who don't normally rush have been running.
But with one less game, that was what surprised me.
Is it Patrick Mahomes?
And has a higher completion percentage than Purdy and Allen.
Patrick Mahomes?
Negative. Your boy.
Which
Caleb
one?
Williams. Caleb Williams with -1 game compared to the other two. We'll see. It's a slow start for Caleb Williams. Now, he looked like complete hot garbage in the beginning.
When you put him up against a terrible team, he does great.
Okay.
Just like somebody said.
Posted. Last quarterback. All right. 127 completions, which is below Caleb and Purdy, but above Josh Allen. 1,389 yards, which is just above Caleb Williams with an extra game. 61.2 QBR, but here's the stat that really sticks out. 6 tutties and 8 picks.
Anthony Richardson?
I'll give you one more guess.
Oof. I don't know.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. There you go.
Barf.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's not.
You know, when you put him like that, really, according to this, he's number 16 on just passing stats.
We better not tell the refs that.
And an honorable mention for surprise. I guess it's not a surprise because if you're not taking rushing stats out, Jalen Hurts, number 21, just above Bo Nix. Kind of weird. All right, moving on to running backs. Now, I should say it's not just running backs. These are rushers. Anybody who can rush, okay?
Oh, God, okay.
All right, so 178 attempts for 667 yards. Yards per game, 95.3. It's in the top 5. Who am I?
Kenneth Walker.
Nope. You want to guess again?
Derrick Henry?
Only 3 touchdowns.
Oh, okay.
That was the only
3
thing.
touchdowns?
95.3 yards a game, which stood out to me, but only 3 tutties.
Okay. 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
And it's anybody who can run the ball.
Yep.
That's just so many people.
Jordan Mason.
Okay.
667 yards. I mean, nothing to scoff at. He's number 2 amongst all rushers. Number 2. Okay, this guy has 436 yards, so 230 yards less than Jordan Mason, averaging 72.7 a game, but 8 touchdowns. The big Ocho.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Damn, dude. Kyron Williams. I thought you might get that one because you seem so confident, but my God.
No, dude, this is terrible.
Williams, 8 touchdowns on 436 yards rushing.
How many?
Ooh, baby.
How many is Jahmyr Gibbs?
I can tell you, rushing, you're talking about touchdowns?
Yeah, rushing
5.
Oh, okay, so I wasn't too far.
I mean, you were because he has 8. The next highest, one person has 6. The rest of 8 is Derrick Henry and Kyron. Everybody after that, there's like 3 people with 6, and then it's just sprinkled throughout the rest.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, this person, I'm gonna get your ass on this one.
You've gotten me on all of them.
All right, so comparing to Kyron Williams, this guy has 455 yards compared to Kyron's 436. 72.7. No, I'm sorry. 65 rushing yards a game compared to Kyron's 72.7. So that's pretty close, within 7 yards a game. Almost 40 less attempts, though. Kyron has 116 attempts. This person has 73 with 20 more yards. Only 2 tutties. Can you guess?
Josh Jacobs?
Lamar Jackson.
Oh.
My God, 65 rushing yards per game for this dude. Absurd. He has 20 more rushing yards than Kyron Williams. And he's the quarterback.
That's what he does,
What are
man.
we doing here?
That's what he does, dude.
Okay, now, this was the final rushing stat that I thought was funny. Only 5 games played. Okay? 6 tutties and averaging 60.3 yards a game. I
Starting?
mean, he has 303 yards. Fine. But only 5 games played.
Starting?
Yeah.
Only 5
These
games
are all starters.
starting. Okay. Only 5 games played, so he's somebody who's injured.
6
Didn't
tutties
late.
with almost no yards and no yards per game compared to the rest.
Is it Montgomery?
His name rhymes with zone.
With zone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
Ken Bone Walker. That's right. My man, Ken Bone Walker, who caught a wide receiver touchdown this week, by the way. He looked like a wide receiver.
Yeah,
But anyways, these are just rushing stats. 6 tutties, homie. 303 yards. Only 60 yards per game on the
It's
ground.
fine by
But
me.
man,
the number 5 running back in the game
it's
the
the
league.
Ken Bone Zone. We need a music drop for that. The Ken Bone Zone.
Yes. For those still listening, we are working on these things.
Okay. Receiving yards. I had Chris Godwin, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we're going to let him live on his own. Okay. Now, 34 receptions. Okay. Just to give you a little, aren't you having fun with this?
I mean, I'm trying to.
Wow.
You got to remember, I'm also sick, and I'm on a lot of nighttime medicine right now.
So you're high as hell.
No, my brain's just not braining.
Just to give you a little, okay. This is Jamar Chase ranked number 1 in offensive stats, right?
Okay.
39 receptions, 620 yards,
God, dog.
6 tutties, averaging 88.6 a game with
Sounds
281 yards after the catch.
Sounds right.
Okay. Which, by the way, honorable mention, this is why I had this guy listed because of yards after catch. Chris Godwin, 350.
Yeah, so good.
Nobody's even close. Chris Godwin had 350 yards after the catch.
Well, now they have plenty of time to catch up.
True.
Sorry, that was wrong.
I see what you did there. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's do this guy, right? 34 receptions compared to Jamar Chase's 39. 412 yards, which is 200 less. Yards per game, 58.9. Yards after catch, 224. So only 60 less than Jamar Chase and 5 tutties, which is only 1 less than Jamar. 5 tutties, just for example, nobody in the league has more than 6 tutties. Okay? So
Okay.
Jamar Chase leads in touchdown. This guy has 5.
Is it a wide receiver or just a receiver?
That's a wide receiver.
Just
Just a little more than 100 yards less than Jamar Chase.
Is he injured now?
Nope.
He's not
I
injured.
took all injured people off.
Okay. Well, Terry McLaurin?
Brian Thomas Jr.,
Oh,
a
yeah.
Dynasty Diner
Okay.
team member.
Yo, he's on fire.
Quietly, because Jacksonville is doo-doo
bad.
butter.
So bad.
Brian Thomas is still putting himself
Listen,
together.
Target Jacksonville.
Right? Okay, now building on that. So let's go 40 yards less at 477. Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
Dead air. Dun, dun, dun.
I'm sorry. Brian Thomas only had 4 touchdowns. I don't know if that messed you up, but like,
I mean, 6 touchdowns is a lot right now. That's almost
all
one
right,
a
so
week.
4 or 5, whatever. If the leaders have
I was
6,
gonna say, I think Terry McLaurin's been pretty hot. You know what I mean? He's been getting one. I know at least one the last couple of weeks.
all right. So 412 yards, yards after catch 224, averaging 58.9 yards per game. But he has 1 tutty.
Ugh.
1
One touchdown.
tutty.
Garrett Wilson?
Zay Flowers,
You know, he was in my head.
who's quietly putting together a hell of a season. The touchdowns don't speak for it, probably because they're giving them to Derrick Henry, and all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, Mark Andrews. But
And Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman got he got 120. He got 121 yards and a touchdown last week.
It's been 3 years, and he finally had one game 3 years later.
3 years
ago.
ago.
Speak about him.
3 years ago, Dane was very high on him.
As a rookie. We will not speak his name. Now, all right, number 8 on the list, right? Number 8 in the whole league for receiving.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a wide receiver, but in receiving. Number 8 in the league. 477 wholesome yards. Only one tutty, okay? But yards per game, 68. Yards after catch, 251. Ay caramba. That's only 30 yards less than Jamar Chase. 47 receptions on 60 targets. Good God. Talk about a trade candidate. Who you got, homie?
Jahmyr Gibbs, the first name that popped in my head, so I'm going to go with that guy.
Brock Bowers.
Okay.
Brock Bowers. There's no running backs on the receiver list, just so you know.
Oh, well, that's good to know now at the end.
Well, anyways. Last one. This guy, only 6 games played out of 7. Now, 208, his stats aren't as great as the runs we've done, right?
Okay.
But I just thought this was interesting. Okay. This is terrible production. All right. This is what stood out to me. 26 receptions on 29 targets. Okay, only 29 targets, but he's caught almost all of them, dude. Nobody's even close. 289 yards, okay? 3 touchdowns, which is more than Zay Flowers, more than Brock Bowers. This is crazy. Averaging almost 50 yards a game. Nothing to scoff at. 116 yards after the catch. I'll give you a hint on this one. This is not a receiver or a running back.
So it's a tight end.
Yes.
Not Brock Bowers. You wouldn't go back to back like that.
26 out of 29, dude.
Was it Hunter Henry?
Cole Kmet.
Oh.
The sleeper. Cole Kmet. Just catching every pass that's thrown to him for 3 tutties. I got to tell you, man, 50 yards a game.
I really thought it was Hunter Henry. He's been on it.
And that is Guess That Player. Oh, I'm sorry. What do we call it? The blind tasting.
Yeah. Very blind.
Very blind, clearly.
Just real quick before we hit these last little bits here, I just want to go over some news.
Can I finish my segment?
Oh, I thought you were done.
No, just give me one more second.
Okay.
I pulled these guys because when I was looking at all the stats, that something either popped out, I found interesting or surprising. But I hope you all found the same thing, right? For those of you playing along in the diner, just listening to us, I would like to know, drop me in the comments if you had guessed any of these right, just based off hearing the stats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, oh, dude, hold on. I got a bonus. I got a bonus one. Okay, you ready?
Sure.
This is the bonus. It is a running back. We're doing rushing stats, not a quarterback, just a rushing or running back. Okay, you ready?
Sure.
537 yards comes in 5th, averaging 5.2 a carry, 3 tutties, averaging 76.7 yards a game.
Najee Harris.
Chuba Hubbard.
Mm.
My man. Number 5.
What time is it? We'll just edit that out.
Anyways, listen, if any of you guys are playing along at home, which I hope you all were, please drop us a comment. Let me know if you guys guessed any right, because these stats that when I was going over each line and looking at, the ranks and all that, some of them really surprised the hell out of me. And I'm I'm wondering if you guys kind of felt the same.
Oh, it's pretty good stat lines for sure. I got some news real quick just to burn through. Puka Nacua designated to return from IR. This is big news. He'll get back on the practice field Tuesday, but is very unlikely to play against the
Is that
Vikings.
breaking news?
It came out earlier today.
Heard that.
He probably won't play against the Vikings. Barring a setback, though, Nacua should have a chance to make it back for Week 9. His meeting with the Seahawks. Keep an eye on that. Cooper Kupp on the trading block is the name. I mean, he might be on the trading block. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp is being shopped by the team. The Rams have apparently contacted several teams and are asking for a second-round pick. The team is willing to take some of his salary in the 2024 to get this return. The Rams keep losing, so they view their window of having closed to contend for a championship. So keep an eye on that. There are teams that are desperate for wide receivers. One being the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be, I would hate that, but anyway, Lamar Jackson did put up astounding numbers against the Buccaneers. He 17 for 22 for 281 on 5 touchdowns. He also ran for 52 yards. Colts very optimistic about Jonathan Taylor's playing Week 8. Head coach Shane Steichen said Monday that he expects JT to return to practice this week and that he's very optimistic. Taylor will play against the Texans on Sunday. He's optimistic that he will play. Don't take what I just said the wrong way. Taylor has missed the last 3 games with an ankle injury called a minor high ankle sprain. To, keep an eye on him. He's a big fantasy producer. Tua is set to practice on Wednesday. He refused to wear a Guardian helmet for personal choices. I think it's because it'll weigh his head down. But he returns from IR this week.
It's probably because the Yankees swindled the Guardians out of a World Series appearance.
Maybe. But I don't see how that has to do with Miami. But he comes back from IR this weekend.
Guardians.
Plan to have him practice Wednesday. Tua he's still got to clear the concussion protocol and stuff for playing, but McDaniel said they hope to have him ready for Sunday. Now, if he does end up playing, I wouldn't put all my chips on their offensive pieces just yet this week. Obviously, if you have to play Achane or Mostert, they have an incredible series of games coming up against teams that are bad against the rush. So clearly you want to try to play those guys. But like Tyreek Hill and Waddle, if you need to play them, put them in. But I wouldn't expect huge production from them on the first day he comes back. Or you might go off. I don't know. Also, Christian McCaffrey planning to return after the bye week. I'm pretty sure we went over that. So keep an eye on him.
We did.
And that's all I got, really.
Quick question. Does the cold medicine have you loopy? Did you just add a segment?
Just this the news. We normally go over it to the top of the page. It wasn't there on the show.
You just blew my mind. I thought we were back into taking inventory in the Toast Report.
No, we just blew right through all that stuff.
Listen, Carey, all the diners out here, they appreciate the info. It doesn't matter when we give it to them.
Yeah.
They're appreciative.
Yeah, and I mean, I try to incorporate this stuff in when we're talking about certain things and stuff like that. But I mean, we didn't talk about the Rams, you know what I mean? And then I just wanted to put the Lamar stats out there because they were very impressive for only 17 passes.
Fair enough.
And Rashad, like I said, keep an eye on Rashad Bateman. If he continues to get targets like that, that's something to keep an eye on. Zay Flowers also was down early with an injury. So if Flowers stays out, Bateman might be a streamer.
I will not, but to the diners out there, you go ahead and get it. On to the daily specials to wrap it up. Going into head-to-head this week, I was up 2-1, and Carey mopped me up by 10 points this week.
It was bad line.
It was terrible. But basically, if both of us could have gotten a loss, we should have.
I had Tank Dell on my line.
I had Malik Neighbors, and I think I had another scrub. Or JSN scored a whole 3 points.
Yeah, I had JSN as well, 3.8.
Yeah, dude.
So, and then Algier had 5, and Kirk Cousins had 9.18.
My bums this week, I had Tony Pollard, disappointment against Buffalo, who's the worst run defense in the league. He only could muster 7.5. Malik Neighbors got a 6.1. Oh, and then you had JSN with 3.8. I punted at tight end, so that doesn't count.
That Dalton Kincaid at 6'7".
Darnell Mooney only a 7. Everybody was
disappointed in
hyping
that.
him up this week. I was kind of disappointed in that.
The Seahawks now don't keep your eye on the Seahawks, dude. They're playing real football. DK's out, but
No, I know, but the defense wasn't all that. I just figured
Kirk Cousins didn't perform well either. 24 for 35 with 232. 2 interceptions and a fumble does not help.
Tank Dell for a 0 burger.
Yeah, my big bangers.
Man, your lineup, I really like your lineup.
It was a great lineup, right?
This week, yeah.
But it's like they just didn't produce. It might
Just for you guys out there, I went Sam Darnold. He went Kirk Cousins. Then I had Tony Pollard. He did Algier. I had Ken Bone. He had Brees Hall. I went Malik Neighbors. He went Justin Jizzle. And then, I as well went Justin Jefferson. But then he had George Pickens.
Listen, George Pickens was the most nervous pick of my entire team.
No, George Pickens came through in the clutch.
I know,
this
but
week.
Russell Wilson, I didn't.
And it also carried my week in Dynasty, too. JSN, we already talked about. Tank Dell was a bust. Yeah, you went to Steelers. I went to Giants D. That didn't work out with Saquon Barkley's breakout. So we go into next week 2-2.
Tied up, baby.
Tied it up. Carey, you got anything else you want to add before I get us out of here?
Not really. Just, you guys stay safe out there. We appreciate you guys for listening. And again, please comment, send us a DM or something like that. The more we can get going on social media, the more we can start doing on it. You know what I mean? So please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, tell anybody that's interested in it. Help us make our product better for you. You know what I mean? So every episode we have standard things that we go through, and then we try to spitball new segments. We need to know what you guys think about them, so we'll know if they're continued segments or not. So just stuff like that, or just ask a question. We had, like he said, we had a great conversation a couple weeks ago with some players and stuff like that. And another one, shout out to Andre again, helping us promote and stuff like that.
Andre.
And yeah, just things like that, man. We appreciate you guys.
All right, guys. Well, catch us on YouTube and Spotify at DFD Podcast, on Instagram and X, DFD_podcast, and hit us up on the Facebook. Let's get some friends out there. DFD Pod, Apple Podcast coming soon. Please like, follow, subscribe, rate, review, unsubscribe, resubscribe, re-rate, re-review, drop a comment. It all helps the diner out so much. We do apologize for the audio issues preventing last week's episode from airing, but, I can't promise, but I don't think that's going to happen very often. This is a work in progress, and we're getting our stuff together. The diner's lights will be on. And again, guys, it's about telling a friend. So please tell a friend. Get them to go on. Make them whip their phone out and subscribe in front of you. Tell them you want eyes on the situation.
Yeah.
Because the diner needs to keep the lights on.
Have them play it while they're sleeping and silent.
That's
care.
right. That's right. When you're sleeping, just throw it on repeat. Let's get those listens up. But
But no, we do appreciate all of that.
We do, guys. It's a lot of fun, and we hope that everybody's enjoying it as much as we are giving it to you. For Carey, this is Dan. Diner's closed.